So I wasn't sure if to do this in the dark or in the light, but I was going to review some data, so I thought I'd make a video for other people who are looking to figure things out. I recorded stuff, so I'm going to go in here, over here. I got to look at today. I believe it's probably this one. No, wrong one. So we'll go back. It's up here. Oh, we're looking. No. No. We're gonna look here. Here it is. So I was gonna be reviewing some exhaust EGR stuff. My dad bought a new truck and has some issues, so we're going over it. The one issue we found, let me adjust this real quick, is, let me see if I can go back to the data, back it up. Okay, so at a certain point, I don't think it's on this list. Anyway, we were getting, I'll have to show you the other list. So we're going to make a pretty long video on this one anyway. So we'll hit back. We will go to the next one. On this list, as you can see, I will highlight it. Bring this way, merge graph, and I'll show you what's going on. So as we're coming along, here, let me change that a little. I decided to rev up the engine a little, let it drop off, things like that, to see what was going on. But as you see, right here, we have a minus 100 on the EGR gas recirculation difference, which your difference on this is only supposed to be minus 50 to plus 50. So on our ranges, we're way out of range. We're like minus 50, and this is happening when you're above 2,000 RPM, about a 2,200 RPMs, and then if you let off the gas when it settles, it gives you the differences. But we're not getting those differences until we're at 2,200 RPMs. And the other thing you'll notice is down here, I've been watching this because this throttle position sensor has been reading, but this valve position sensor stays at 0, which, if I'm correct, I'm not a master mechanic or nothing like this. I never go to school for it. But if I'm correct, this sensor here is not working. And that's why the difference is so low, because it has no number to correspond the two against each other to give you a difference. I'm not positive if that's how it works, but that's what I'm looking into, just to give you guys an idea. But I was thinking back here I would find a difference or a number or something that would lead me to something, because we have a no fault on the gas recirculation status. We have exhaust back pressure is good. We did not get any other off numbers, and that's why I have this list. is to look over it to see where the numbers are landing and if we're getting, but as you can see, the valve position sensor is not reading, and that whole time the gas recirculation valve duty cycle was not reading as well. That may be due to, during this recording, I may not have been messing with the pedal and throttling it up or down. But I was just going into showing you guys some things that we're looking into. And this is what we had done. Is my dad had switched out his batteries. He had so anyways, he had switched out his batteries, and it threw a bunch of codes, security codes, all this stuff, saying low battery voltage or whatever. There was a common code. So we knew, I should say I knew from being a adamant fan of this autel ms906ts scanner I own now, because now that I own it, I have to do my due diligence to learn how to use it. But I knew from watching some scanner danner videos and things that he had thrown some codes himself, switching out parts, doing things to the truck, or somebody else had. So I went in, recorded what was there, backed out, reset all the codes. The only one we couldn't reset was the ABS trouble light, which that fault was a left rear wheel speed sensor, which is something that happens. So anyhow, and then we reset everything. Then we drove the truck up to the store, back, whatever, and we had rescanned it. Didn't find anything new other than the one code. We still dug into it a little bit to see what we could find. Then my dad stayed in town a little bit because he doesn't live where I'm from, and he had drove it on the freeway again, and it started acting up again. So we went in and rescanned it, and this is the true codes that had come up without him had messed with the battery or had done anything. And our code list, let me see if I can readjust this a little bit just to give us a better idea. Okay, so our code list was as follows. Here we had, I don't want to turn my phone sideways because then I'm scared that it's going to put it upside down. So here's what we started with. The ABS, we already knew what it was. We didn't recheck it because we keep getting the same code. But then we went into all the rest of them. I believe the GEM, generic electronic module, was at one time the BCM, the body control module, but may have been replaced with an aftermarket, and now it's relabeling itself as the GEM. Or maybe that's just the way it is on these Ford diesels. This 6.0 engine. So then we went into here and we started reading about what all this shit meant. And as you can see here, we went down, and I'll show you what so we have a cylinder 1 contribution balance going on, which kind of concerns me a little bit, but not with what I thought everything was going on with this from the gate. So we have a sensor input circuit failure, an ignition key circuit fault. We had a solenoid circuit failure, solenoid circuit open to short, or short to ground, excuse me. We had another short to ground or open circuit. And then we had another solenoid circuit failure. So when I looked at it, I was like, well, man, this is a lot of, to me, I take this off my mind, even though it seems like you'd be more concerned. And then I come down here, I go, okay, we have a circuit failure, a circuit fault, circuit failure, another circuit that's open or shorted, open and shorted, and a circuit failure again. That's how I read it instead of all the fancy lingo, you see. So then I go, well, that's a lot of electric issues. And I start thinking about it. And from there, what I'm going to do is I go, okay, so we know between the two, we have live data. Anyways, let me back out here. We have live data that is showing that we have right here, that we have the wrong range on our EGR exhaust difference on the recirculation. We're getting off ranges. We have a valve position sensor that is not reading any value, which concerns me because it's flatlined at 0. And no matter if we rev up the engine or not, this number does not change. And then I have a bunch of circuit failures and short to grounds or open circuits. So we went in, and we'll cut it short now, investigated, found 4 cut wires because I seen some new wiring again, and we had found out that there was also new wiring that was not protected. It was just, I don't even know, zip tied to all kinds of contact points where it could just rub, cut through, just bad wiring job. Not any corrugated flex tubing that protects it like you see in those in an engine. There was nothing good done with it. They had cut 4 wires. It looked like only put 1 new one in. There was a sensor plug that I believe to be the BAP sensor as it's explained on the wiring diagram, which is also your biometric pressure sensor or your baro sensor. And there was a plug that the plug goes to the same harness and is tied directly into the mass airflow sensor, and it was just dangling underneath the mass airflow, just kind of loosely in there and not plugged in, along with the loose plug on the rear differential sensor. There was a loose green wire that had broke or whatnot to the tow, whoever wired in the towing female, side of the towing for the trailers. There was also some copper showing on the top of some sensor plugs where the wire went in. damaged insulation, and the copper was showing through and stuff. So anyways, today we're going to be going on Maxi Fix. This is another section of your tablet. If you buy an autel tablet, I don't know if they have this available with other tablets, because this is my first actual fancy scanner here, as I call it, because I'm not too fancy. I don't really do electronics, but I decided if I'm going to work on people's cars, I'm going to do my due diligence to do the best I can, and that's to not cost them time, money, and parts that they don't need, as our friend Scanner Danner and the rest of the community that wants to actually resolve issues, not just change out parts on you. We are, as he says, creating a movement of better mechanics again. Not to bash any other mechanics, because I'm nowhere near had gone to school or nothing. I just did this in high school for helping out my dad and myself, and then all through life, you know, being poor, we always had to work on our own cars. And, you know, I used to troubleshoot electric the whole way with a tester light and just jiggling wires and using an ohms meter, and you had all these crazy tests you had to do, and you couldn't eliminate sensors and certain wiring faster like you do with these tablets, because the tablets basically tell you if stuff's operating right, and if some stuff's operating right, you can eliminate that typically. I'm not going to say all the time, but typically as a direction to go, and then you don't waste your time replacing parts and headed that direction and being confused about what's going on. So we're going to select my dad's rig, which is an 05 Ford, and it's an F350 four-wheel drive Super Duty, and it's the 6.0 turbo diesel. And then we're going to come up here, and what we do is we put in P, and then what happened? That's not good. Okay, but now what we can do is we can go like this, and we can actually back out, go over, and I'll show you, and then we go into here, we pull up our P codes that he had on his rig, which is, let's start with the P026360. So you kind of got to remember it, or you can write it down. But I'm going to start with the P0263. And we know it's a 60 after. So we're back. We get out of this, or we go into this. Yeah, no, we're already in. We got to go this way. This is why the Elite, I think, with the split screen would definitely had been the one I would have went after if I had the money to have done that. But I was limited funds. So then it'll pop back up. Like I said, it's going to be a longer one for me to get to download, and to, because I'm going to make a longer video. It's going to probably take a couple hours just to download this video. That's only going to be maybe 30 minutes. So once it reloads here, hopefully we can get this to reload. what I was saying is when I was in high school, you just had to jiggle wire harnesses and see if it affected anything, and then you had to figure out which wire in that harness or near that plug, or it was just a nightmare. And now with these devices, there's active testing and actuation tests and stuff you can do. So as you can see, the truck is still up there. So we got P026360, like that, and then we hit go, and we have no data found, which has actually been happening because, you know, the thing is with MaxiFix, you have to realize they may not have anybody that's gotten this code or had to deal with this code at any given time yet, but we can also try just the P0263 and just try that alone, and we have a code that comes up. So we were just entering it a little bit more extensive. Didn't really need to go into all that, I guess. And then you hit here, and then you will open up description, possible causes. Open or short in fuel injector circuit, poor or contaminated connection at the fuel injector, and faulty fuel injector coil, and dirty or plugged fuel injector. So the fuel injector on cylinder 1 is having an issue with an open or shorted in fuel injector circuit, more than likely because we have a lot of electrical issues. And this, I feel like if there was a fuel injector issue, you would not just be seeing, because if you install parts all at the same time, usually when you start seeing issues within one, there's like 1 or 2 out of 8 that you're going to see acting up a little bit or doing things. You're not going to usually just see, I mean, I can't say that because you could just see one injector acting up. But on a diesel rig, the injectors are pretty spendy. You don't want to just go hauling off and buying injectors, you know, because this could simply just be linked back to our other codes, which, let's go to our next one, and we will find let's just find one with a opener, okay, P1876. Okay, so we'll go back. And we will see what we come up with there as well. And this is kind of the upside is with a fancy scanner. And the reason I'm making these videos is for people who buy them, because these, like, I paid about $1,600. On top of that, I ran it as a credit thing, which I applied for, and nothing big. I paid a little bit more because I got all the kit with the OBD1 connectors and such, but you can get this exact scanner with just the OBD2 if you're just buying it for your vehicles and you know you're going to have all OBD2s. You could buy the plug, the scanner, and the charge cords for roughly around $1,000, about $600 less than I was paying. But with my credit, I'm paying about $2,200, and I'm paying $100 a month for 22 months. The P18, dang, what do we have? We had a P18, I think it was 73. And then you hit go, I don't know if that was the right one. Let's go back because I was talking. But on the device, you can get, even if you don't want to have to mess with reprogramming so much, 1876. If you want to mess with reprogramming TPM sensors and stuff, which is kind of why I had bought this, is because I paid a little bit more also to be able to mess with my wife's tire pressure monitoring, because I don't have it in my 99 Chevy. Yeah, and there's nothing. See, on this one, it's a legit, and it's still showing nothing. So then we have to go back again, do the same thing. You come back in here, you come down, 1876, 1876, and these are coming right behind it. I'm almost positive, because of what we had found, I'm almost positive with all the geriatric wiring and stuff that these people have done, and cutting wires, just leaving them loose and all that, they have done other things to the vehicle. There's a lot of stuff that's not plugging in and snapping in place. It was just like any vibration would have wiggled the plugs loose. They were not doing so well. And then, as we know, all these things can lead to other codes being set off, because you just have a wire that's cut, dangling in there, grounding out to stuff because you spliced into the side of it. But splicing into the side of it to bypass that section is all great, but you still have that section dangling there that's still attached to that circuit. And now you haven't capped off the end or done anything with it, and if it touches stuff, it's still going to affect that circuit. You should always make sure, if you're replacing a 1 foot section, 2 foot section of wire, and you're jumping from one side to the other, but you want to leave what's there, if you cut it loose, cap the end of it. Bend it, tape it off, whatever you gotta do. You know, crimp a butt connector on it and pour some, you know, damn super glue down in the other end and shrink wrap the other side. Whatever you gotta do, just don't leave wires hanging, because that's what a lot of stuff happens, is people do work, they don't plug things back in, or plugs broke, so they don't take the time to cut back the harness, replace the plug in, and to fix things the right way. Or they'll electrical tape a sensor plug to the top of the sensor, and then that tape melts because of heat and comes loose, and then that plug comes loose, and then you're screwed again, pardon my language. But that's what's happening. It's too expensive to hire a mechanic nowadays, a lot of times, for people. So they go off, try to do their own stuff, and then you start seeing cars like, and trucks like this being sold, where they thought they knew what they were doing, but then stuff started malfunctioning, acting up. They give up on that one, buy a new one, figure they'll recoup some of the money for the new truck out of the old truck, and more likely they're not even buying another Ford. They're buying a Chevy or a Dodge or something different, or vice versa. If it's a Chevy that's a problem, they're buying a Ford or a Dodge, or a Dodge that's a problem, they're buying a Chevy or a Ford, because they're not wanting to deal with the same problems. So why would they buy the same truck? They wouldn't. Anyways, that's our video today. I'm gonna go back and research. What my point is you can scan all you want, but you still have to do your research to properly diagnose codes and stuff, because I've already looked at probably 6 wiring diagrams. And that's just the reality of it, is you will be up all night long thinking about what you're trying to fix, because it will bother you that much if you love to do what we do. And that's that. All right, bye. Have a good day.